The AAA Accelerator. I just finished my first week, and here's 5 things I learned. Number 1, how to pimp ChatGPT or any large language model. Number 2, it's not the weapon, it's the wielder. The quality of the question or query that you input into AI is the quality of the response or result that you get out. Number 3, I ain't with all that talking. Stop talking to ChatGPT and use one-shot prompting. Number 4, the 3 hurdles to success for an AI agency owner. And number 5, your net worth is your network. How I got my first profit share paying client. Just a disclaimer, I'm just a guy. These are the things that I learned that were most helpful to me. Well, the first 3 principles actually tie together. The big thing is called query, model, response, right? So what does that mean? Large language models are stateless, right? What does that mean? They have no short-term memory. So when we think we're communicating with a model and it's retaining information, that's not what's happening. Because by nature, by what they are, they're predicting randomly based off what information they had. So they're basically like a person with no short-term memory. The way they explained it, it's as if I ask a question. They're taking my questions and my queries and they're stuffing it into another question. And then they're stuffing it into another question. That's why sometimes if you ask ChatGPT the same question too many times in a row, it starts hallucinating and spouting off randomness because it doesn't have a short-term memory. So it's trying to stuff all of the question, all the things that we're talking about into that one question. And so by nature, it gives you random responses. So after the first 7 times of giving you a similar response, them last 3 times, by nature, it's predicting the next word that happens. The next word that happens. It's going to predict something random. It's like the first 7 things I did couldn't be right. So I got to give you 3 different things because if you ask me 10 times, it's no way it's right. What happens is it forgets. Why does this matter? So it matters because you realize the quality of the query, the quality of your question specifically dictates the quality of your result. You have to then consider, as a business owner, what is the best way to ask this question? So essentially, number 1, query, model, response. The quality of your question directly dictates the quality of your response, which brings me to number 2. It's not the weapon, it's the wielder. So basically, to give an overview of automation, if you don't know what it is, it's basically, in a lot of ways, an AI agent. I want AI to do something for me, right? Now, there are tools and there are functions all over the place, different workers that's all over the place. Well, we use ChatGPT or LLM or sometimes SLM, which is small language model. We use language models to connect all of those tools and give the AI agent a way to go finish a task. So an AI agent is an AI concept that does a task. The LLM is usually the brain for that task. You can pick how high powered or low powered the brain is. But what I didn't know is that costs money. Like, I knew it costs money, but I didn't understand that it can cost fractions of pennies or it can cost thousands of dollars depending on token amounts. Token amounts is basically how much each transaction that you use the item for pulls from the LLM or whatever tool you're using, right? That's just basically how much brain money they spend. Bigger tasks require more tokens. Simple. It's like that, right? This makes sense. You can't just go and approach from a perspective of unlimited money because you don't want to be wasteful. In my mind initially, I'm like, I'm gonna just pick the best model, but the best model isn't always appropriate for every single situation. LLMs need to be tested and compared so you can see which one is the right one for the job. Because when you use a bigger model, not only is it more expensive, but it's also slower. And so that's why sometimes small LLMs, smaller models could be used in those situations because they're faster. If it's a task that doesn't require a lot of computing power, it's faster. Whereas if it's a task that does rely on a lot of computing power, gonna be slower and more expensive. Faster and cheaper, slower and more expensive. Those are the things you have to focus on to figure out which one is right. But if you don't know how to approach communication with it, you're wasting time. You're wasting money. It's ineffective. So with that being said, I ain't with all that talking, right? Now, what is a good prompt? So going back and forth with ChatGPT, talking to it like it's your best friend from high school, your ace boon cool, right? It slows you down. It makes you inefficient. What they taught is this concept, and I'm gonna link the video in the description. Liam talked about it. It's an incredible concept because ChatGPT's own users, its own developers, it's the people in the company use this principle when developing a prompt for ChatGPT. So if they using it, why wouldn't you use it? Why wouldn't I use it? It dawned on me like, why wouldn't I not? Why am I tweaking like that? It's called one-shot prompting. I can't even do it justice. I'm gonna link that video below. And so but essentially what it does, I'm gonna give you an overview. And so if you look at the prompt techniques he gave, so you got role, you explain to the LLM what you're doing, right? So you assign an advantageous role to the LLM, such as expert email classifier or experienced data analyst, right? I start off every conversation I have with ChatGPT, you are a this, you are a that, right? And it puts it in a mind frame, because what I learned with LLMs is they have they have a lot of knowledge. Like ChatGPT is already trained with a lot of knowledge. So if you don't chunk it, which is an education term, which is funny enough, meaning break down the specific information you want, because it's so much information, you want it to isolate the information you want. And once you put it in that realm, it's easier for it to collect the data. So you say, I'm looking for an expert email classifier, expert data analyst, right? And so and that will put it in the role. Then I would ask the task. I would clearly define a task you want the LLM to perform, providing step-by-step instructions, right? So back here, it gives you specific tasks, right? Tell it exactly what you want it to do, right? Oh. And what that does is I think he said it 2x's the quality of the response naturally, because it, once again, chunking is better for it. It works better in understanding piece by piece what it's supposed to do. Do this, then do this, then do this. So you include specific instructions, requirements, and email prompts, emotional prompts to encourage through an analysis, right? Then you provide relevant background information about the company, system, or task to help understand the context, right? Then you demonstrate the desired output format and structure using carefully created input example outputs. This one right here was mad important, because what would happen is once you give it examples, it understands how to respond. And that removes a lot of the questions out it removes a lot of the randomness, right? The temperature kind of effect. And then the notes. So basically with AI, we've noticed, well, not we, because I'm new to it, not true to it. They've noticed that it'll do good at the beginning, right? And it'll do good with the instructions that you told at the end, but it is not great at the middle, right? And so what Notes does, oh, that was a terrible, whatchamacallit. What Notes does, Notes adds a final reminder for my instructions and address what they call potential edge cases, right? Or areas of content. So it does better with holding information at the beginning and holding information at the end, and not really focus on the middle. So if you take the notes and put a reminder about what you wanted in the middle, it'll fix that. And so that's typically how the AI does best in that specific situation. So This is one-shot prompting. He does a way better video explaining how to do it. But this put me in the mindset of, I don't feel like a newbie. I feel like I don't know anything, but I'm taking a step closer to knowing that I don't know anything, because I know a lot of people, everybody uses ChatGPT like they use Google, and that's not the way to use it. Also, you feel empowered because if OpenAI is using this, why am I not using it? Duh. So I learned to not be with all that talking. I ain't with all that talking. I'm gonna use one-shot prompting. So the next deal is, what's the beef, right? If AI agency, we know it's gonna be busting, why isn't everybody who starts an AI agency a millionaire? This specific instruction, it paid for the course. All 4 figures of it. It paid for it completely. Why? Because it takes away all of the questions as to why you won't succeed. So number 4 is 3 main hurdles of the AI automation agency. When I solve these problems, I'll become successful. It takes all the guesswork out. Number one is technical expertise. You understand how to plan and build AI solutions. Number 2 is lead flow. So basically what they did was they took down the people who were the most successful, and they collected the principles that they need to solve. And this is what they came up with, right? They had to solve these 3 problems. Number 1, technical expertise. They understand how to build the AI solutions. That's the skill level of which you have in order to solve the problem with the AI solution. Number 2, lead flow. They relied on one or more acquisition methods that consistently generate leads. The thing that they emphasized was consistently, because if you get into this whole social media market agency retainer concept where you become at the mercy of your person, whereas if you had consistent leads and they coming in every month, you can then charge what you're worth within one-time payments or one-time payments and an optional retainer. But if you go with the social media marketing agency model, you're going to be overly stressed, overly worked, and your customers won't get the value they're supposed to get because you don't have consistent lead flow. Authority, credibility. They utilize strategies to position themselves as credible experts. You can finesse it, which I don't intend to do, or you can put the work in the field to get that type of credibility. Put the work in, you know how to produce a result. Because you know how to produce a result, you then can become an expert on it. And that's my path. That's my goal. But it starts with expertise, right? So you start off with no code. Some people's is different. For me, I took a little bit of a make.com course. So I know a little bit about make.com. I'm probably around, and I know some other solutions is Zapier. I'm probably around here, right? But there are people I got a homie he codes for real. If you come in with coding, they tell you, we can get to that later, you on this side of the spectrum. You come in with no code, you over here, and then you work to get the hybrid stuff in the middle. I want to be right there. See, me, let me make that pink. Respect the pinky. Me, I'm trying to get right there. And so if somebody came to you and they made that proposition to you in this course, that you would know exactly what you need to do. You would have every accountability. You would have the coaches to help you fix each specific problem. The paying for the course would be a no-brainer, because I'm taking away the ambiguity. That's the thing about entrepreneurship, is so much ambiguity. Now I have no excuse. I know I'm on the right path. The opportunity is crazy. And I know I have all the capabilities, because if I don't know, the people I'm connected around the right people to teach me what I don't have. And answering these 3 questions for me tells me I need to get my technical expertise first. I need to get more leads. And once I get leads, I need to use those leads and put in the work, whether free, paid, or profit, to get credibility. And so that's what made it all worth it for me. That paid for the course for me right now. Even though I know I got to get to the bread to actually pay for what I missed. But you get what I'm saying. Lastly, this is man, my network is my net worth. This is what I learned. Going through they have a warm leads process. Going through my warm leads, I landed a customer, somebody close to me, and we're doing a profit share on the automation. While I was doing a profit share on the automation, I was kind of nervous about putting myself out there. I kind of was just talking to people, and people close to me that I respect that run businesses. They've been running, experienced business owners. They were like, hey, look, I got this problem. Can you fix it? Or can you, I'll let you try to fix it for me. And so that's how I got my first client. It is a paid client. So I decided, me personally, I need to generate them revenue first. And then we do a profit share based on the revenue I generated. That whole Alex Hormozy vibe. Because if I can guarantee you that work, I don't even need no money. Let me get good. When I get good, you're going to have to pay me because you're going to want the service over and over again. I basically reached out to people on my phone, communicate with them. Hey, do you know anybody? I'm starting this venture. Do you know anybody that could use this, that this would be helpful to? If you do, can you plug them in with me? Okay, so the review. These are the things that I found most valuable to me. And I think that they're going to be helpful on my journey. And I'm appreciative that it's already helped me going on. Number one, query model response. I have to remember that LLMs they don't have any short-term memory. And each interaction with them is completely separate from the one before. So the gold that I put in is the gold that I get out. Boo-boo in, you get boo-boo out. Gold in, you get gold out. Number two, it's not the weapon, it's the wielder. If I focus on how to manipulate my prompting skills to the point where I can make GPT 3.5 move like give me the result of GPT 4.0, I'm winning. I must master the skill of prompting. Which brings me number three, don't be with all that talking. One-shot prompting. I want something that's consistent because it'll make the quality of the products that I give to my consumers, my clients, more consistent. Number four, the most valuable to me were the three main things I need to overcome and how to overcome them. Number one, putting in the work any way I can to get better at the skill. If I get better at the skill, I'll become more valuable. Lead flow, using communication, staying active on the social medias, providing value to as many people as possible. So if I can help them, they can see me and we work together. They get value, I get value. Number three, authority and credibility. From number one to number two produces number three. I put in the work. I let people know I'm putting in the work. If I can help them, I help them out in some type of way. I give them value as much value as possible. And I become an authority. I become credible in the space.